Today's topic is about understanding of the basics of statistics and how we are going to learn all these statistical concepts in the most effective and practical way with the help of practical examples. If you see Six Sigma and as a critical part of it, statistics is the most important part and it's really tricky to understand. But if you follow a systematic approach, it is making you to understand the statistics in the most effective way. Okay, so we are going to start that today. We are going to learn what's the importance of statistics and what is the best way to learn that. Okay, so let me share you the screen. Here we can see there are 11 points that we are going to discuss today related to this how to learn basics of statistics in Six Sigma. And if you see, the first part of it is the understanding of need of statistics, why everyone need to understand statistics. Now the topic that I'm going to discuss in the first step, it is not about only the professionals who is looking for the Six Sigma, but this is true for every single individual, whether that person is working professional, businessman, or any kind of person that it is, or whatever the role that person is having. Understanding of statistics or basics of statistics is very critical for every single individual. Now, let me take a simple example and explain you why it is important to learn the statistics for everybody. Okay, so let me share you that example. I can see there are many messages. Okay, Neeraj Kumar, Ekam, thank you so much for joining this live streaming. Girish, that's great to see you. Thank you so much for joining this. Great. Okay, let me share you the screen and let's first understand why there is importance to understand or to learn basics of statistics to everyone. Okay, can you see my screen? Okay, that's great. So this is a simple example that I have taken. And if you see, this is an example for a month. And I'm having the profits in $1 million for each of the month. If you see the historical average for this profit is 2.2. Now, the industry or the organization wants to know whether there is a significant improvement or there is an improvement into the sale compared to the last year or not, right? Now, if you see what is the first tool or what is the approach that anyone can use to see whether there is a significant improvement or not. Based on your experience, can you please tell me what is the tool that you can use here to see whether there is a significant improvement or not at a first glance? We had also seen into the last live stream, right? One of the important set of tools that is going to help you to give the more clarity in decision making. Yes, it is a graphical tools, right? So we can use the graph here. Let's say we are going to use the line graph here and let's see whether there is a significant improvement or not, right? And that's the first step, that obvious step that anyone can take. So let's select this data, go to the insert and draw this line graph. Let's take this one. Right? So we are getting this graph. This is for profit for $1 million and for each of the month for the last 12 months. And if you want to see whether there is improvement or not, it's really difficult to say on this. Okay, but if you make these slightly changes into this, so I'm just going to show you that how the data can be manipulated for the presentation perspective and why it is important to understand or to learn what is the important thing here. Okay, let's make 0 here. Okay, now see what is a graph. Now, if this kind of graph is presented to you, so what will be your first interpretation? You can say there is no significant improvement, right? Because the graph looks like a very straight line. Now let's take another, let's plot another graph and let's see what is the result that we are getting. It's the same graph, same data. Now I'm just changing the scale of this. Let's make this as a 2. Now, what is your interpretation? It's the same data, but I represented that data into 2 different ways, right? So People can use the same data and can make twist to it and can show that there is a significant improvement or not. We can see, if you see the second graph, we can see there is improvement or not. And this is the problem actually for the decision making. If you want to say whether there is a real time improvement or not, or whether the one solution is better than the other or not, in that case, if you are just using the graphical tools, then it can give us a wrong direction, right? Or it can be manipulated by the person who is going to present it to you, right? That's why understanding of the basics of statistics is very important. Now, if you know what's the important thing here, that if you know the statistics, that means you can take the decision based on the basics of statistics or by using the other statistical tools, and we can see whether there's a real time improvement or not, right? Now, in this case, the example that I have taken, we can perform the hypothesis into that. Let me just open this Sigma Excel software and I will show you that how we can say whether there's a significant improvement or not. Now, as we are having the one data point or one sample data, so we are going to use the one sample test here. Okay, so we can perform here. Go to the Sigma Excel. Let me click anywhere into the data. Sigma Excel, select the statistical tools and perform this one sample t test. Okay, select the entire data table. Next. I'm just explaining you what is Sigma Excel, and that we can maybe talk later, but just here understand what's the importance of statistics. We are having the one unstack column format. We can put it as it is numerical data variables. We can select as a profit in $1,000,000. Here our mean, null hypothesis mean is equal to 2.2. That's a historical average. And we want to say whether there is a significant improvement or not. Let's say we can say whether there is a change or improvement or some deterioration is there. As we are interested in improvement, let's select greater than at this point of time. Confidence level, keep it as a 95% and click OK. You can also see the display test assumptions report, but that's not a part of this. Click OK. And here we are getting the results here. Now, from looking at these results of hypothesis testing, I'm just explaining you, we just need to look at the p-value. If this p-value is less than 0.05, then we are going to reject the null hypothesis. And we can say that there is a significant improvement into the sales. But as we had seen, the p-value is 0.5 here, which is greater than the 0.05. So we can see there is a no significant improvement. That means the first graph is correct. But this is just a simple example I have taken that anyone can understand. But if you go to the real life situations, there are many different scenarios and things. And in that case, you might don't know what is the things which is actually happening there. In that case, along with subject matter expertise, along with graphical tools, you need to understand these statistical tools. And understanding of the statistical tools is not possible unless you understand basics of statistics. That's why, irrespective of whatever role your role is there, if you see the today's life, it is lot of, or we can say the highly driven by the data-based approach. Everywhere we can see the data, data, and data. And in that situation, if you don't know what is the basics of statistics and how to take the decisions based on this data, it is really making us difficult to grow in our careers, irrespective of whatever the area in which you are having the career. Okay, so that's the first important point that I have shared. Is this clear to everyone? What is the importance or why there is a need to learn the basics of statistics? Do you have any other comments on this question? Please add that into the chat box. Thank you so much, Dhananjay, for joining. Great, glad to see you. Great. Now let me jump into the first point. Second point, okay? So the first point we had seen why there is a need for basics statistics. Basic of statistics, understanding of basic of statistics is necessary to understand the data. Or in other words, we can say if you want to take the decisions, it is very critical. Now, the next point is we are going to learn what is a sequence in learning statistics. We need to follow a particular sequence, and if you are going to follow that sequence, it is making us to learn the statistics in a more simpler way, right? So let me share you that sequence. Let me share this screen. Yes, it is. Okay. So the first thing that we had seen, understand the need of statistics, right? Now, the second point, we need to understand, learn, understand, and practice measures of central tendency. So this is the second step. Understand what are the central tendency. Central tendency is nothing but it is indicating where is the center of your data or where the entire data has gathered or centered. And if you see, there are multiple things are there, multiple metrics are there which are indicating what are the measures of central tendency. So mainly used, the central tendency measures are mean, median, and mode. So you want to learn all these important metrics here. Once it is clear what are the measures of central tendency, then go into the little bit deeper. And here we are going to understand what are the measures of dispersion. Measures of dispersion means the metrics, statistical metrics that are indicating what is the distribution of your data, what is the spread of your data, or what kind of variation, what is the variation that your data is having. It is again very important to understand both of these measures of central tendency and measures of dispersion to learn the next concepts into the basics of statistics. Here, understand what is a range, standard deviation, variance, and coefficient of variation. It makes very easy to understand if you take the practical examples, practical scenarios, use the formulas so that it is making us more clear. So what is that actually the statistical metric is and what is the practical significance of it. In my program, I'm going to explain everything in detail with the help of practical examples. I will explain that maybe sometime later, but let's focus on this topic. The fourth one is once we understand the measures of central tendency, measures of dispersion, then understand probability. Because everything that we are going to see into the statistical tools is based on the probability. Every time we are talking about what is a probability for acceptance, rejections, everything we are going to discuss with respect to this probability. So understand probability. We need to understand as a part of probability what is the meaning of it, what is a probability means, what are the various probability rules and formulas. That means if we know the certain events probabilities, how we can calculate the another or dependent variables or dependent events probability based on that. And you must practice more and more examples to understand what is exactly the probability is. Because if you understand the probability in the most effective way, or if you understand the certain rules from the probability and certain formulas, it will make you understand the other statistical concepts in the statistics very easier. The next step is once you learn the basics of probability, you might remember that during the example that I have explained to you during the start of this live streaming, I have told you about the p-value, right? Now, the next step is we need to understand what is a p-value. And there are different criteria, different methodologies are there. Based on that, we can say whether there is a we are going with the null hypothesis or alternate hypothesis. Again, it is a part of hypothesis testing. It indicates strength of evidence to reject the null hypothesis. Null hypothesis is nothing but the hypothesis or the statement that we have assumed before to start the analysis. This is again very important and it's the core of the statistical tools that we are going to see. Learn statistical distribution for discrete data. Again, there are different types of data we need to understand. Discrete type and continuous data. So what is the difference between them? And for this discrete data, what kind of statistical distributions we are having? Statistical distribution is indicating both of these metrics as we had discussed into the point number 2 and 3. What is the central tendency of the data and what kind of distribution or variation the data is having? Based on that, we can see there are various different statistical distributions are there. For the discrete data, we had binomial distribution, Poisson distribution, and hypergeometric distribution. Same is the case for the statistical distribution for continuous data. We are having mainly the normal distribution, exponential distribution, and Weibull distribution. So into this step, just learn these important statistical distributions for the continuous data. When we are learning the normal distribution, you must aware about what is the center limit theorem with simulation. So understanding of the center limit theorem is very important into these 7 steps. Whenever we are dealing with the normal distribution, you must be aware about normality test, center limit theorem, and what are the various assumptions or what are the various properties of this normal distribution. The next step, how to check As we had seen, there are various distributions are available. Now, how we can check which distribution of your data is best fit? Now, the understanding of the distribution is very critical if you are going to perform or when you are going for the selection of the statistical tools. For example, if you want to perform the capability analysis onto our data, based on the type of data, we are having various capability formulas. For example, if you have the normal data, we can use the capability analysis for the normal data. But if our data is not following the normal distribution, then we need to identify what kind of distribution our data is best fit. And for that distribution, we need to use the non-normal capability analysis. So understanding of this distribution for which your data is following is very critical. And we can identify that by using the individual distribution identification. That's again very important too. The next one is data transformation. Sometimes if you see if you see the relationship between the variables, it is not giving the meaningful relationships. In that case, if we just transform data by the logarithmic function or any other function like exponential function, we can see there is a significant relationship between the variables. So the data transformation makes again very critical if you are not able to see the relationship between the variables sometimes. Now, how we can decide whether we should go for the data transformation or not? There are various guidelines out there. We need to understand all that. Again, there are two types of transformations out there: Box-Cox and Johnson. We also need to understand which one is the most suitable for us for our data. Yes, of course, we need to start with the Box-Cox first, and then if it is not applicable, we need to go for the Johnson transformation. The next one is, as we had learned everything onto these steps, there are other statistical distribution are also available if you see the practical application. So we need to learn all these important statistical distributions as well, like t distribution, f distribution, chi-square distribution, logarithmic log normal distribution, and bivariate distribution. So these are again very important distributions along with other continuous distributions, but also need very important to learn. Now, once you learn all this data, the sequence, if you are following this learning of this sequence, it makes understanding of the statistics, learning of the basics of statistics more effective and practical. And if you follow this methodology, if you are master into these statistics, believe me, learning of the Six Sigma will be much easier for you. Okay. Now let's come back to the questions and let me check if you're having any questions, comments. Yes, there is some comment. Great, great. Thank you so much. Okay, it was a previous one. So this is the second point that I was discussing with you, is the sequence in learning the statistics. Now, the last point that I want to share with you, if you want to learn the statistics in the most effective and practical way, so I have created entire this content in the same sequence that we had seen into this program up to this 10 points into this course. So this is the course with the lifetime access, mentoring support, as well as notes. And that will give you the complete clarity about these basics of statistics. We can implement that into the real life. This is the content on the basic statistics and distribution in simple words with examples. And I have explained everything, every statistical tools with the help of practical example. And we had also taken the multiple examples to understand, okay, what is the formula is there, what is the probability, and what is the importance of that. If you want to learn all in detail, here is a link, vijaysabe.co/statistics. You can go there. Link is also into the description section. You can visit there and you can see everything about this entire program and course. This also with the mentoring support as well. If you want to enroll, please don't forget to use this code as a mission 100K, because this is my mission to help 100,000 working professionals to enhance their skill sets so that everyone can get their potential career growth. So this is my mission, and with which I formed this organization. So use this code to get the benefited from enrolling into this course. Okay, so this is all about the today's program that I've discussed with you. Now, if you are having any questions, I'm ready to take your questions. Very nicely put. Okay, thank you so much, Girish. Your appreciation is a really important for me, and thank you so much for your appreciation and great comments. Thank you so much. Okay, that's all about the learning of basics of statistics. So I have explained you what is the best methodology that we can learn. And if you are following this methodology, believe me, it is removing the fear of statistics from your mind. You will be having the learning of statistics in the most enjoyable manner. Thank you so much. Okay, apart from that, if you have to learn anything about the Lean Six Sigma from the Learn and Apply or about the Minute app, here is a link, successfulcareerhub.com/courses, and you can see the entire details there. Let me see if there are any questions, comments. Please put your questions into the chat box. I'm ready to answer all your questions related to this. Do you have any advice for an industrial engineering student about do you have any advice for an industrial engineering student to graduate? About to graduate. Okay. Yes, of course. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This is a great question. Now, the advice, if you see the today's world is, if you look at the every organization or industry is using the database approach. If you can see the many database approaches are coming into the field like machine learning, you might be aware about it, artificial intelligence, big data, right? So there are many things which are coming into the field, and that is coming as a coming future. Now, as a part of this, if you want to understand everything, if you see the basics of everything is going through these basics of statistics and Six Sigma. So if you are not having the any industrial experience, or even if you at the earlier stage of the industrial experiments, I will recommend you strongly. So please go for this Lean Six Sigma certification. Understand what is a database approach and why there is a need to understand it, or why it is going to impact your career. Once you aware about it, then latter part will be very easy for you, and you can twist, or we can have the little bit adjustments to your career based on your interest if you are aware about the skill sets. Anything I should focus and emphasize on, such as software or technical skills? I think I have explained you that. So please go for this Lean Six Sigma certification and training. That will help you to understand the most important skill sets that is coming into this nowadays, and it will be the future in coming days. Thank you so much. I think I answered your questions, Nexus. Is this fine with you? Great. Thank you so much for asking this question. It's a very important question, and if you see, it's too many options are available nowadays, and it's really difficult to take which option is most appropriate for you. And we didn't get more clarity unless we go into it. Okay, so it's obviously very important to try the different things, but we must start with the most proven things first. So that's why I'm recommending, strongly recommending, go with the Six Sigma. I gotten my green belt like months ago by the way. Okay, that's a great way. Congratulations on that. Thank you so much. As you rightly put, statistics and Six Sigma are the base for data science and data analytics. Thank you so much, Girish, for supporting me. And I'm sure with a great and huge experience as you're having, you're also the expert into this continuous improvement and all these similar fields. So you rightly said, you know the depth of this and importance of this. Thank you so much, Girish. Thank you so much for your valuable time, and I'm sure this live stream has helped you to understand the importance of basic statistics and what is the best way to learn it. Thank you so much, and see you in the next live stream. Please take care.